was saying with the 7 dust has been the traditional treatment for mites and things. The suggestion he made, which I've never heard anybody do this, but it sounds like it would probably be the easiest way to get it on the birds, is to put some in a drawstring trash bag and set the chicken in the bag and lightly tighten the drawstrings around about the neck area and move the bag around to coat the chicken with the 7 dust or diatomaceous earth. Sounds like it'd be a lot less messy than sitting there trying to dust the chicken and dust and things going everywhere. So maybe something worth trying out. If your chickens are like mine, I don't think they're going to go for that. But
I put my diatomaceous earth in the cat box so they can dust.
Yeah.
Just dust in it.
Right. The other thing that he was saying that some of the members use is frontline. And they will put 1 drop under each wing and 1 drop around the vent area. And he said from what their experience has been, the next day they're completely gone off the boat. So that may be another alternative. It's not organic, but it is another alternative to rid the birds of the mites. Frontline? Yeah, that's for dogs and cats. Put 1 drop under each wing and 1 around the vent area. And from their experience, within the day. No, they don't have to be. There are some benefits. Less wasted food. No, it's just a reason. Yeah, it's not really have to do it for convenience and other ways. Having the feed and water up off the ground as opposed to sitting on the ground.
Okay. Did everyone catch? The question had to do with having the feed and water off the ground, then as opposed to sitting on the ground.
Right.
If there's a reason.
Yeah, if your water's on the ground and they're scratching and kicking things into the water, it's more maintenance to keep them clean. And with the feed, if the feeder's down on the ground, they can kick more of the feed out of the feed trough as opposed to being. What we try to do, and generally is recommended, is to keep it at neck height, where they can stick their heads over and eat out of the feeder. But there's no way that they're going to kick the feed out and be wasting feed on the ground. And the other thing, going back to the chicks, generally around 6 to 8 weeks, and it depends on what your feed store carries and the feed line. But a lot of the commercially produced feed recommend at 6 to 8 weeks to switch them from a chick starter ration to a layer ration. And then generally around 2 to 3 months, I try to switch ours from a layer crumble to a layer pellet, because they'll waste less of the pellets as opposed to the crumbles. So they'll still get their beaks up there and knock it outside the side, and generally speaking, they waste less feed with the pellets versus the crumbles.
You said that was around 2 to 3 months?
Around 2 to 3 months is generally when I try to transfer them over to pellets. And again, it depends on the feed line. Different feed producers recommend different things, but most of the commercially produced feed, generally around 6 to 8 weeks, is when they recommend transferring.
Okay. That does vary a lot, because most of the companies I've ever dealt with recommend going from a starter to a grower or a developer at around 6 to 8 weeks, and then switching to a layer at around 4 months of age.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. Everybody has their opinion about that way to do it.
I know, I think it's Purina I think it's Purina or Paymaster. It may be Paymaster that recommends going straight to a layer. They don't even offer the in-between.
Paymaster does.
Do they? It must be Purina then.
That's a starter grower. A lot of companies have gone to a starter grower where you don't switch from starter to grower and then to layer. You just feed one thing all the way through for about 4 months.
Up to 4 months. And does it have the higher protein levels, I'm assuming, up to that age?
It varies, again, from company to company. Typically, research says that they need a higher protein for about 6 weeks. And then you lower the protein up to around 4 months of age, because for longevity and health of the birds, it's better to have a lower protein while they're developing. And then you go to, depends what you're going to feed, either 15, 16, or 20% protein later.
Okay.
I bought one of your coops, by the way. I'm happy with them.
Yeah.
Out there. Are they supposed to have food all the time? Because I just, like, at 5 o'clock.
It varies. I feed mine twice a day, and I generally feed them just enough that they can eat twice a day and encourage them to scratch and free range the rest of the time.
Okay,
I generally don't recommend it because you're going to attract mice and rodents to the feed, which is in turn going to attract the snakes and other things in as well.
Well, if you throw it, but they eat it.
If you leave feed all the time, then you can start attracting different rodents and things, and that in turn will bring snakes and things in as well.
It survived the hailstorm.
Good.
Sure, I didn't need to write it off. Like everything else in my yard. I'm real happy with it.
Yeah, ours survived 85, 90-mile-an-hour winds that blew everybody's roof off and everything we had. I think you saw it on the news, but yeah, all of ours survived as well. So.
There's an alternative feed that you might consider, and you can look it up on the web. We feed ours duckweed.
Duckweed?
Duckweed. And duckweed will run between 14 and 21% protein. It'll grow in almost any horse tank in quantity that you can feed 15 to 20 chickens. And it's absolutely
free. Can you find it commercially, or is it something
you can actually get it in aquarium shops? But in 70-degree water, it reproduces itself. In other words, it doubles itself every 24 hours. In the wintertime, I found that it takes about a day and a half in 50-degree water. So it's absolutely free food. We feed it to our chickens and our rabbits and our hogs.
Okay. That's good to know.
We have a feed question.
Huh? Yeah. And that age, probably until 4 to 5 months, I would try to. As they get between 4 and 6 months, they're really your around scratch. I mean, they'll scratch and eat things that they can find bugs and things that they can. But because they need a lot more food on a regular basis, anybody else?
Well, before you have to talk about the most wonderful part of keeping chickens, which is the nesting rabbit and the eggs, is coming back with a big black snake in it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
And depending on where you're at as to whether you'll have issues with snakes or not. Again, leaving the feed in all the time, you're going to attract the rodents and in turn going to bring in the snakes. The way that ours are set up with the collection doors in the back, you can open the door and look in before you reach in. And I definitely would look any time before I reached in under the hen or even reached into nesting boxes to grab eggs. Set your nesting boxes up in such a way that you can look in before you reach in there. Because if they find the eggs, they'll be there waiting for sure. Most of the time they'll find that if they get their head in, they get their body in. And if they're less than about 18 inches old, the chickens are more than likely going to eat the snake and not have any issue. They'll do a dance with the snake. They can catch him off guard enough, and they can grab him by the head. And it's funny to watch. We find a lot more water snakes and things around us, and it's funny to watch them do that dance with the snake. Anything small, they'll kill the chance to dance or eat the eggs. Anybody else?